Hello class, I am updating this video tutorial as the old one, the tools have been updated, so the old one was causing some problems, so I'm going to do it again. All right, so first we're going to discuss this assignment, second I'll demonstrate how to do it, and then third I'm going to cover some learning that the intended learning for this assignment. So I'll be straightforward, I don't like this assignment. The reason why I don't like it is that you wouldn't really use these tools to create what they're creating here. Essentially, SNHU wants you to use the cut tool or the multicut tool in Maya to create these holes that are cut out of a plane. And you could do that. However, that's not how you would do this. I can also tell that whoever originally created this assignment, that is not what they did to create this. So I find this assignment both disingenuous and not super helpful. But the purpose of it is it's a good is good. Essentially, we need to practice the multicut tool, and we need to understand what nGons are. So yeah, we will do that. The first part of this video is going to be me just showing you how you can do this assignment, which will also show you how they created this, how they got the result they did, whoever made this assignment. All right, so I'm going to start that now. First, I'm going to show you my grid settings, just so you know. I'm using centimeters right now, and if I go to display, grid, option box, here are my current grid settings. 5, 1, 10. These are the colors I'm using, but at least have these values the same. All right, apply and close. Next, let's create a plane by clicking up here. This will be what we put the hole in. In the channel box layer editor, I'm going to go here. You could also do this in the attribute editor, but I'm just going to click on channel box layer editor where it says polyplane 1. I'll select that. Subdivisions width and height, I'm going to change each of these to 1. I could click on a single box and press 1 and then hit enter, right? And I could do that here as well. Or whenever you're changing values in channels like this, you can click on one, drag to the other, and then press 1 or whatever value you want, and then enter, and it will change all the boxes at the same time. Then width and height, I'm going to change both of those to 10. So now you can see it's the exact same size of the grid. I'm going to turn the grid off by clicking on this box up here. Next, I'm going to select the box, make sure I'm right in object mode. So right click and hold, object mode. Select the, not box, sorry, the plane. And actually, let's rename it real quick. We'll name it SNHU plane. Then I'll press E to rotate, and I want to rotate this right 90 degrees in the X. So I can hold J and rotate this to step snap it 15 degrees at a time till I hit 90, or I could come over here and type in 90. All right, now that we have this, that's good. Let's turn on wireframe on shaded in this camera view. I'm going to come up here and click on this wireframe on shaded. And now I can see the wireframe in this dark blue color. Next, let's create the text. So I'll click on this T up here, which is the mesh, like the text. And by default, it says 3D type, right? So this is definitely how they did this. Over here in the attribute editor, at the top, we want to type in what we want. So SNHU. And then let's see, I'm going to leave curve resolution. Actually, let's change curve resolution to 2. And then I'll scroll down further. And underneath extrusion, if I come down here where it says extrude divisions, change this to 1. Right now, see how the depth, there are 4 divisions. That's why this number, if I change this to 1 and hit enter, you'll see it gets rid of those. And I don't think we need to change anything else. I'm using this Lucida Sans Unicode font. You can change the font here, but that's the font I'm choosing. All right, I'm going to select this text, and I'll center its pivot by first make sure I'm in object mode, select the text, and then come up here and click on this icon. You can also go to modify center pivot. All right, then I'm going to scale this down. Let's see. Let's change these in the channel box. Let's change this to like 0.33. Nope, let's try 0.4. We'll try it for now, and then we'll move this over here. And maybe I was correct. Let's try. Whoop, I'm getting some lag. Let's try this again, 0.3. All right, we'll just try 0.3. And this doesn't have to be perfectly centered, but get it roughly in the middle. We could make it perfectly centered, but I'm not going to. Then I'm going to rotate this to the side a bit. I could also use my orthographic views by hitting spacebar, but I'm just going to use this and hit W to go to my move tool and move this in so that it intersects with the plane. See that? We're going to use a Boolean operation to punch a hole through the plane using this text. Now, you normally don't want to do this unless you have a really thorough understanding of edge flow. So it's not really a good tool for beginners. However, now that I have this set up, I'm going to select the plane, hold shift, then select the SNHU text. Notice how the first thing I selected, the plane, has a white outline, and the second thing I selected, the SNHU text, has a green outline. If I select it in the inverse, so I select the text and hold shift and select the plane, then the plane would be green. So we want to select it in the correct order. So plane, hold shift, then select the text. Then go to mesh, booleans, and hole punch. And you'll see it punches a hole and it gives us this Boolean operation. So I'll do that again. So I'm in object mode, select the plane, hold shift, select the text, mesh, booleans, hole punch. Then we're going to delete our history to get rid of this Boolean operation. If everything looks like mine does, then you're in a good spot. You'll have this red. So let's go to edit, delete all by type, history. All right, now we have a big nGon, and nGon is a face with more than 4 sides. And if I try to clean this up by manually cutting, it might not work. Yeah, it's not going to work because the nGon is too complex. So we'll do what they did, which is an auto cleanup, which you normally don't want to do. So in object mode, select this plane. Let's name it SNHU plane again, because we lost that during the Boolean. Then we'll go to mesh, come down here to the box next to cleanup and click on that. So mesh and the option box for cleanup. Then at cleanup options, make sure this radio toggle is set to cleanup matching polygons. And we want to do nGons, which are faces with more than 4 sides. So check that box, then hit apply and close out. So it should look something like this. See how it triangulated everywhere? Very similar to what is in the image. So this is good. It turned green because it lost its material. So I'm going to go right click and hold, go to object mode, select it, then right click and hold, go all the way down here to assign existing material and choose standard surface 1. And there you go. You're done. So we could delete our history again. You can turn this in and that, yeah. Anyway, but this isn't super beneficial for your learning because it doesn't really show you how to use the multicut tool, as I said before. So let's actually go into that. And the next portion of the video will be the learning material. So you could turn this in, but if you don't watch the learning material, take notes, like follow along, then you're probably going to be confused later on in the course when I'm telling you that your model has nGons and you need to use the multicut tool. All right, so I'm gonna just delete or save this or whatever. I'll just actually, instead of deleting it, I'll select it, click on this icon to put it in its own layer. I'll double click on this layer and I'll just name it SNHU and hit save. And now I can hit this V to turn this on and off, so the visibility. So I'll turn that off. Let's turn the grid back on and let's create a cube. And I'm going to change its scale to 5, so it's large, and its translate Y to 2.5, so it sits on the grid. Okay, so first let's talk about polygons. This polygon, this cube, is made up of 6 polygons, right? Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, right? And each of these faces is a quad or a 4-sided face, right? We can see 1, 2, 3, 4. If we were to triangulate this, right? Now we have a triangle, a 3-sided face, or often referred to just as a tri. in 3D modeling lingo. Even if you don't have a triangle here, if every quad counts as 2 tries or 2 triangles. So I have my my poly count view up here. If you want to get this, you can go to display, heads up display, and check poly count, and this will show up. All right, so in here, this first column represents all of these components, the entirety of the whole scene. So if I move this over here, you can see that value changed, right? The second column is whatever is selected. And if I have a component like a face selected, that will be the third column. All right, but you can see that there are 12 or 6 faces, right, and 12 triangles, and that's because it's counting each quad as 2 triangles. All right, let's say I have an edge here and then I delete this, and let's just make it obvious for a second. Let's say I have a face that looks like this, right? So how many sides does this have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 sides to this, right? So this is no longer a quad. It has more than 4 sides, and therefore it is an nGon. We don't, for at least game modeling, we don't want nGons going into the engine because they can create problems with both animation and rendering. When you put a model in a game engine, it often will, like auto triangulate it, and then we no longer have full control over our topology. And when you have a portfolio, if you're showing off your breakdown shots, like your wireframes, and you have a bunch of nGons, it's going to demonstrate that maybe you don't have a firm grasp on topology. So anyway, the long and short of it is we need to not have nGons. If we have a face that looks like this, on its surface, like if we just look at this, it looks like a 4-sided face, but it is still a 6-sided face. And that's because, like if I go to vertex mode, you can see every vert, when there are 2 verts and there's an edge between them, that counts as a side, right? So this is still a 6-sided face because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? All right, so to fix this, we have some options. We could just get rid of this edge here that wraps around. If I select it and press delete, there are still nGons here because if you just select an edge and you delete an edge, it leaves behind the vertices that were attached to that edge, right? So there's that vertex, this one, and there's one here. So it's still, now there's an nGon here, 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 and here. So if you're ever deleting an edge, I'm just hitting Z to undo here. If you're ever, most of the time when you're deleting an edge, hold Control first and then hit delete. If you hold Control and then hit delete, it's going to get rid of the edge and the vertices that were attached to that edge. So that fixed the nGon there. Another option, if I really needed this edge for some reason, is to use the multicut tool. I'm going to turn my grid off for a second. So I could drop an edge from here to here. If I go to the multicut tool, which is this little X-Acto knife here, or I can go to the modeling toolkit and find it here. The shortcut is Control-Shift-X, which is worth knowing. I can hover over this vertex till it's red, select it, and then hover over this one and select it again and right-click to close that off. Now I've fixed that. So that's one operation of the multicut tool, is you can click on verts and then click on other, like click on a vert and click on another one, and it will drop an edge there. All right, so let's look at the multicut tool and what it can do. So I can also, you wouldn't really want to do this, right? But you can kind of paint out edges. But if I did this, now I've created an nGon. Like this is a big nGon, so is this, so is this. So you wouldn't really normally do that. However, we can drop edge loops. So if you hold Control, right, and hover over an edge, you can drop an edge loop like this, right, or like this. If you hold Control and then hold Shift, you can snap that edge loop in 10% increments. That percentage is based on the distance between, one vert and the opposite vert on an edge. If you hold Control and middle mouse click anywhere along an edge, while in the multicut tool, it will drop it in the exact center, right? So I could just keep dropping center edges. Okay. All right. Next, let's talk about nGons, how to find them more. So let's say I've got this one that we were looking at before, and let's put an vertex there. So there's, and let's actually put, let's put a vertex right here. Okay. If I select this and I go to mesh, this is what it'd be really helpful to know this. So mesh, come down to the option box next to cleanup, click on it. Instead of select matching cleanup matching polygons, we want to select matching polygons. Then hit apply. It's going to select, if there are nGons, anything that matches what's checked here, it will select them. So now I know that every single face here is an nGon. And then I could hit F, right, to focus. I could hit Control 1 to isolate the nGons if I need to. So I could start cleaning these up. So maybe I'd want to clean this up like this for some reason. Then I could go back to object mode, select this, apply again. Now I know, oh, there are nGons here. Well, why is this an nGon? Let's go to vertex mode, and I would see, oh, that's because there's a vertex here. We don't need it. I'll just delete that. So when looking for nGons, this is how you're going to do it, is, go through the cleanup tool, and then sometimes you need to create new edges. Sometimes you need to delete edges. Sometimes you need to delete vertices. Other times, if you have a complex nGon, you can delete the faces that have an nGon, and then use the bridge tool to bridge back across. All right. Okay, so that's it. Let me know if you have any questions, and thank you. Bye.